I found that hit list. It was in the backpack of one of the captured commandos, so I was the one that found it, and I showed it to the world media. It was shown. It was in Yara Lee's videotape of the attack on the MV Marmara. I know that on under my ship's list, it was a list of dignitaries because my ship was full of dignitaries, the Challenger 2 and the Challenger 1. But I didn't look at the whole list, but I did hold all of it up because they had 3 pages, I believe 3 pages of names and photographs of people on the Mavi Marmara. And I'm told, and Al Jazeera has reported, that the list from the Mavi Marmara, which I held up and was seen in the video, that list was a hit list. But that's not what I know. It's what I've been told. But I'm the one that found that, and I held it up to the TV camera. So I can certainly verify where that came from. It came out of the Israeli soldiers' commandos' backpack. So it definitely was used by the Israeli commandos, and what it was, well, you can judge for yourself, I guess, and you can see it on the film footage. And well, I know. Well, they interviewed me a lot. I got on CBC Unfiltered at the very beginning, but from Istanbul. But I noticed that they were using the video that the IDF had supplied as a background to me being interviewed. This horrendous, silly, probably bogus video from the IDF, and very confrontational questions and whatnot. And I wouldn't cooperate and actually got angry with them. But and then when I got back to Canada, as it happens, was going to interview me. And then all of a sudden, maybe it's a coincidence, but right after I started to announce that I'd witnessed evidence of executions, as it happens, canceled my interview. And CTV AM morning show canceled my interview as well. So after I got back, you would think that everybody would want to interview me. Here I'm back. I was national news, maybe international, I guess. But once I got back and maybe didn't have the right line, so to speak, they didn't want to interview me anymore. And as it happens, instead of having me on their program, they substituted an Israeli reporter, ex-military reporter, actually a military affairs reporter from one of their newspapers. They put him in my place in their program, which was, talking about adding insult to injury. And this fellow rambled on about, lies, lies, lies. It was crazy that they. Well, anyways, then I did get on CBC next morning. I tried to debunk what this fellow had said, but the damage was done. He had got in my place, so to speak, and presented the Israeli point of view. But anyways, that's my take on the main media. I don't think they played any role. They did visit me in prison. They had to search to find me because the Israelis wouldn't tell them where I was. It was like a game of hide and seek, I guess. The Israelis, they knew where I was. They had my passport. They had me in. Mossad had interrogated me when I got ashore at Ashdod, so they knew where I was, but they wouldn't tell the Canadian authorities. And the Canadian authorities finally found me, but they didn't do anything. They couldn't do or didn't want to do, or there wasn't enough pressure applied by anybody higher up than these people that visited me. They were friendly. They tried to do what they could, but nothing happened. Um, the only reason I got out is that the Turkish authorities demanded that everyone had to be released before any Turks left Tel Aviv. So I was herded on the buses with the Turks, and all the other internationalists went with the Turks, and I was herded onto the plane, the Turkish Airways planes, the three of them, along with the dead bodies and the relatives of the dead Turks. We were all put on the planes together and waited 12 hours. I've lost track at the time, but I understand we were there for 12 hours waiting because, again, the Turks would not let those planes leave until they were positive that everyone was on that plane that was on the flotilla. The wounded, the dead, people that the Mossad had grabbed, because there were people that, in the prison. The Mossad had grabbed two I believe Arab fellows, taken them away, and one of the Turkish fellows came to me and said, "We're all going to sit down because they've got two of our friends, and we're not going to get on their bus to the airport until they released them. There was quite a large argument and discussion with the Israelis saying, no, 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 they're here, they're there, they're on the bus waiting for you, they're at the airport waiting for you, just get on the bus. But the Turks wouldn't move, and I wouldn't move either. I just sat with them. Then finally, lo and behold, in walks the two Arab fellows with the Mossad agents with them. They were there all along. They wanted to hold them. They wanted them, and they wanted us to get on the plane without them. But the Turks held firm, and they got them back, and we got back to Istanbul. I know Ken O'Keefe didn't fly out with us, but he was beaten in the airport and quite badly hurt. And the Israelis packed him off to a hospital with me, stitched up, and he was released a couple of days later. But if it wasn't for the Turkish government, I might still be in Tel Aviv or Beersheba or who knows where. I don't know. No, I don't think I got any support from my government. To this moment, no one from my government has got a hold of me to ask me what happened. Nobody. Yes. I mean, Harper has said he was saying this while I was being brutalized. He was telling Netanyahu at news conferences at the same moment that I was being brutalized that Canada is Israel's greatest friend and always will be. And here at the same exact moment they were brutalizing me. And at one point, actually, I can tell you a little story. I was having a dust up with the Israelis in Ashdod. They were again lying to us over and over again about the immigration procedure and when we're going to be released. And I got up and I yelled at the immigration official. I says, "You're lying, you SOB. How dare you do that again? You've been lying to us all along. You know, how dare you lie to us and lie to us? You know, you're disgusting liars." And Israeli soldiers jumped down and pointed guns at my head. And I turned to them and I said, "My prime minister's meeting your prime minister right now in my capital in Ottawa. You shoot me, it'll make big news in the Canadian media." And, you know, basically thumbing my nose at them because we had to do something. It was just, they were doing everything they could to humiliate us, all of us. And I thought I could do some small gesture at least to, because the Turks couldn't do anything. They came close to beating one gentleman beside me, very close. They were slamming the clubs down all around him because he was begging to have the tie wraps loosened on his wrists because his hands were swelling up. And so anyways, that's my little bit, and made a little bit of noise and pointed out that their prime minister might not like the fact that they shoot me when they're meeting my prime minister. Anyways, enough war stories. I can answer some more questions. The Turks want me to go. I made many friends, many close friends, probably lifelong friends among the Turkish and Arab people that were with me in the prison. They stood up and helped protect me. We helped each other. And they want me to go again on the Turkish vessel. There's hopefully going to be a Canadian vessel going, and I've been asked to go on that vessel. So I believe I'm going. I can be honestly say that if there's a risk of being jailed or going to Israel again, I won't go because I feared for my life in Israel. Again, talking about the most moral army in the world, I generally feared for my life in the hands of the Israeli authorities. And so if there's a good chance that I would go through that process again, for my own mental and physical health, I probably wouldn't do it again. But if it's going to get to Gaza, or if there's a good chance that it won't be arrested, I'll go again. Certainly, I'll be going again. Yes.